Welcome to Lost Without Japan, a travel podcast about the life-changing experiences of exploring Japan and those moments we would be lost without. For your listening pleasure, allow me to introduce your very own Kanko Guido, Michael.
Welcome to this week's episode of Lost Without Japan, a podcast based on Japan and your Lost Without moments. I'm your director of travel for TKIC Studio Productions, and I'm coming to you with positive thoughts and excitement for your next journey to Japan and finally, my return later this year. Thank you for giving me a little bit of your time today, and I hope this podcast finds you in a good place or on the path to a better one. We can all use a beacon like this one, Japan, the show, or otherwise. And I truly thank those of you that are either finding our podcast for the first time or returning once more to Lost Without Japan. As always, the advertising I include with my shows is done for free and is meant to help continue to promote the friends of the show we have interviewed in the past. As our group departs today, please double check that you have your luggage, passport, and phone before our group departs. You've made it. Today's your day as we continue your journey throughout Japan. Go ahead and take a few deep breaths and come along with your tour group as we make sure your journey today is as incredible as possible, whether it's your first trip or return trip to this awe-inspiring country. As always, when you go to make lodging reservations, make sure that what you book is fully refundable and you know the dates necessary to request your money back. If something should occur before or during your trip, it's just great to know that you're not going to be out that cost. One thing, speaking of cost, is if you're tracking flights, or haven't been for that matter for Japan, they have been fluctuating so incredibly much. A flight that I was tracking for a while was around $1,850 for a round trip from the Chicago out to Osaka. And that's less than what I paid the previous summer when I went with my son. But I was hoping that that would drop in price, just so that I can do more. It's going to be a short getaway when I go again this time, meet up with some friends and come back. But while tracking that, I'd done a search through Google, and it just, as I was logged in under my profile, would email me when the price changes for the flight that I had been looking into. And it had told me that it dropped to $1,530. And I don't know why, but I just assumed that was going to be the price for a while. And I kind of let it go. My payday was still a little over a week and a couple of days away. And I wanted to wait for that time. Even if I was using funds that I wasn't necessarily planning to, I'm like, this is too good to pass up. Well, I'm glad I didn't have the funds at the time, or was waiting to just, a couple days to get paid. And what happened was that airfare dropped to around $1,200. So what was previously an $1,850 flight had went down substantially. One thing that I would just want to point out real quick is that when you're booking those flights, to really look closely, because the cheapest flight that I had been actually tracking had kind of an impossible connection to be made. It was flying from Chicago to Narita, which is no big deal. I would gladly go back into Narita again, without a doubt, and go where I needed to from there. But being that I'm going to be focused in the Osaka proper, area, I didn't want to have to go from Tokyo to Osaka, especially, again, limited amount of days that I'm going to get to be there. So I wanted to be able to fly directly to Osaka. And I'm glad I looked closely because that flight I had been tracking had changed a bit And where it was changed was originally I was flying into Narita, and then from Narita straight to Osaka at the Kix airport, which I've flown into before. Was not necessarily looking to make a return. That's neither here nor there. But for what I'm looking to do, it works the best. But when I checked the flight and looked a little closer, I was flying into Narita, and then my connecting flight was in Haneda in Tokyo. And that's a completely different airport. They're not close. So I don't know what software said that that was an okay connection to be made. There's no way in the world that I would have been able to make that connecting flight. So I happened to just check some other flights, and most of them were around that $1,600, $1,500 mark. But what I saw was that even though I would have preferred to fly through Asiana, ANA, JAL, any Asian airline that would fly me directly from Chicago to Japan would be my preference, just from past experiences. What I ended up finding was that United for me was the most affordable. And being that it's kind of a tight budget for this trip, again, I'm just looking to get out. I'm beginning to set aside money for my daughter and myself. So I wasn't able to go this summer, as I've talked about previously on the show, with all the different things kind of popped up for me. And this allowed me to do so. I'm truly thankful that the price dropped to around $1,200. And then what I did was that United actually had a rebate if you applied for their credit card. I don't like to open up credit cards for no reason, especially if I'm not going to be keeping them. But they had a $300 credit that was attached to that. And so I went ahead and applied to be able to do that, which allowed me to have $300 I wasn't planning to make my flight one where I could have more legroom. What I was looking to coming and going, just to have better seat preferences, stay away from Air Canada, from what I had. And all of this ended up working out well. But then after I booked, luckily, our flight went back up to 1,500, and then it went back up to 1,600. And I seeing it again today. It's just so all over the place. So if you have been thinking about a trip to Japan, now might be that time. Just need to keep track of what's going on. Like I said, a $600 price drop is not, a small amount of money. That's leaving you, money for lodging or just money to have while you're there. So go ahead, start checking those flights out. Maybe we're beginning to see a little bit of a change in that. I don't think it's going to be back to the $900 round trip that I had previously in 2017 anytime soon. But who knows? So if you've been putting it off, now's the time. And, maybe you like me could, if you're flying out United, go ahead and get your card if you can, and then pay it off right away if you already have the money for it. And then just cancel it once you're back safely from your trip. And don't worry about the fee then at that point in time for the yearly usage, unless you're looking to do a whole lot more flying. So that is where we're at for that. Thank you for putting up with me a little bit, but important things. Like part of our show is just getting to Japan. So I'm just, again, so happy to be able to make it out and cannot wait to see some friends again. And hopefully do a little bit of recording while I'm there, even if it's just audio. I'm going to be looking to potentially do a day trip while actually doing the day trip. So just things to look forward to. And just again, thank you all for everything that you're doing. Remember, if you'd like to reach out to the show directly, you can at lostwithoutjapan@gmail.com or lostwithoutjapan on Instagram. If I can be of any assistance to you while you're looking up those flights, making bookings, doing whatever it is, or just journeying in Japan and have a question, You're never alone when you're listening to the show or not. Feel free to reach out and be happy to assist you. As always, today's timestamp can be found in our show notes for our episode, where we're going to take you directly to Karuizawa, our day 2 of this trip, again in Nagano Prefecture. In the same spot that you're looking into that, you'll also see the show's Google documents with resources and information on Japan, again in our show notes, along with a lot of links to past episodes, especially if any of those locations are places that you're thinking of going to. Truly just countless hours of research and available things for you. Now, before we get going for our day trip on Karuizawa, I just wanted to give a quick shout out to Road Bike Rental based out of Osaka. And they are also recently branched out into Kyoto. So you can look in my following on Instagram, but Road Bike Rental, if you're looking to do something a little bit different, regardless of when the last time that you have rode a bicycle, they are going to take care of you. Could think of a lot worse ways to spend my time than taking a bike and enjoying Kyoto in a different way than just on your feet. There will be a different format, again, as you've said, for this day trip episode for us, being that it is day 2. All of you that are following me on Patreon, that includes if you are paid or not, I will post the document for today's episode where basically it's my script of what I follow, what I've come up to and included for our episode. So just a nice reference if you're in Karuizawa that you can actually scroll through, see where it is, and click some links that take you directly to the Google Maps or the actual website for what we're talking about. For those that would like to know more about Karuizawa or the history of it, just car rental things, please look at our previous day trip episode for this area. It's about 2 episodes back. And one thing I'll repeat just again for this that I kind of mentioned in the previous episode is that, again, just food and things here. This is a resort area. This is a, tourist area. All that really means is that you're going to be spending more for a lot of things. But there are some hidden gems that I found today that kind of go against that. But bringing your own snacks could go a long way for you just to be able to make the most out of your trip and have you have funds for other things more exciting than just, being hungry late at night after doing a bunch of hiking and finding something that's around 5,000 yen that you weren't expecting. So with all of that out of the way, it's time to begin our talk with my first lodging choice of today. Again, kind of more of a affordable option for the area. Again, pricing is going to be up. Stay towards the end of the episode. We're going to talk about a very deluxe, 5-star awesome experience. So cool. If I have the $500 a night at some point in my life, I could totally see taking advantage of that. But let's start with Dormy Club Karuizawa. It's one of our 2 lodging recommendations for today in our talk. I'm going to include their website and the show notes for you to book directly with them. Just make sure you compare different travel discount sites to their website. Find what is going to give you the best, value for the money that you're spending. Although it doesn't happen often, it's just something to keep in mind when using English translation options on a hotel website. If you happen to notice when you switch it to English on the site that everything is booked, no matter how far you look out, switch it to Japanese, my friend, and then open up another tab and basically have it in English on one, Japanese in the other. And lo and behold, reservations that were not available are available. And if you're going to use your phone, potentially, even if you don't do another tab, you can hold that translation app over the page Look for what you need to, make the bookings that you need to, and have something that would not have appeared if you had just used the English option. I don't think it's malicious or anything that are out there, but I think that when they are updating different things, I think they update it for their main site, and that translation software at times, I think, gets stuck in a previous version of the page that's just no longer being updated. And it's doing what it was supposed to. It's translating, but then it's not updating rooms and reservations and those things that are there. So just something to think about when you're making if you don't see those things available for you. One nice thing about this location is that it requires minimal walking, always a fan of that, after a long trip from Karuizawa Station, with around a 1-minute walk to your bus stop, followed by a 31-minute bus ride that drops you off at a stop that's just a short minute walk from Dormy Club. There are definitely more options than just booking through their website, which can possibly decrease the price of your stay. Just again, look at both, because I've seen it go both ways depending on the date where the site was cheaper or the discount site was cheaper. For today's talk, I'm going to focus though on the pricing that is available through Google Maps if you went that direction. I would love to visit in autumn, fall, to see the landscape of colorful leaves, to add to the hikes and scenery that I'd be taking in. I haven't been able to do so since 2007. And I was talking with my son. It was just truly probably one of my favorite times of just being in Japan because of temperature and what you're seeing. And with prices ranging from around $100 to $140 after conversion, it's really just a nice, affordable option for what you have, and going to give you way more than what you would think. Even if the rooms are kind of basic in style, you also can, when you're going to book, going through and you pull up the Japanese options, there were some other rooms that weren't available that became available with the Japanese being selected as opposed to English on the site. And what ended up happening is that pricing kind of jumped up to $190 to $250 without taxes or fees. When I put my VPN as to my location is now in Japan and not just using Japanese in, America. So again, look at all these different things that are available. It doesn't happen all the time, but it's truly something to, check out. It's your trip. I'd hate for you to get there and realize, hey, I could have had a better option, a better view, if only I'd had a VPN or I'd been using Japanese. There is free parking if you do drive to this location, as well as spa, Wi-Fi, and just a lot of fun memories to be made. If you choose to stay at or around Dormy Club and don't choose the breakfast option, which due to having to drive or bus to get to most of your options, I'm not going to fault you. Honestly, if you choose to go with that, because it will help maximize your day. But if you're looking to have your vacation be just that and don't mind kind of a more leisurely pace to your day, I would head to Pastis, which opens around 7:30 a.m. And it says it's open till 2 p.m. every day except for Tuesdays. One thing of note is that children elementary age or older are not allowed. And due to its small size, this location requires everyone in the party to order something to eat. So you can't just go along with your friend and say, I'm just going to have something to drink. You need to order a meal. Again, they have such limited space. They need to make what they can. So just be prepared for that. This location also uses Tablelog to book your reservations, which they need to happen at least a day before to be able to dine at this establishment. Trust me, though, the French toast, the omelets, and other options you can experience will make you thankful that you did so. Meals will average around 2,000 yen per person. It's going to utilize a lot of local ingredients and represent the fact that they are handmade, represented by the time it takes to get your meal. This is a beautiful way to start your day and will be a place I'd want to visit at least once during my stay. I will include the Japanese table log site in our show's notes. Please take advantage of this so that you have time to translate their menu, as it's only in Japanese. So look ahead of time with your apps, screenshot what you want, and then you can point to that screenshot when you end up placing your order in the store. If you want to really start or end your day in the most relaxing way possible, it is very much worth looking into Karuizawa Singitake Hot Spring, which is either a 2-minute drive or a 7-minute walk from Dormy Club. The show's long-standing belief in bringing your own personal towel to Japan, that we've talked about so many times before, is really of benefit to you, especially on this visit, as the website actually asks you to bring your own. Otherwise, you're going to be hoping to be able to rent one for around 200 yen. Now, although it's not much, this can really add up over your trip, and you just have to, do you worry, are they going to have one available to rent or not? Adults are around 1,200 yen on weekdays and 1,300 yen on weekends, not counting holidays when the price becomes 1,550 yen. Children between the ages of 3 and 12 are 700 yen during the week and 750 yen during the weekend, and 1,140 yen on holidays. If you're going with friends or visiting for a while, there is a 10-pack of passes that they offer at that location that could be a better deal for you, as the total for it is 10,000 yen, which would be around 12,000 yen otherwise. The onsen's facility is set up nicely with dividers for the showers area, used before getting into the bath to help provide some limited privacy. The inside and outside bathing areas for the onsen are connected, which allow for outdoor bathing if the weather allows. There are even saunas that can be enjoyed, as well as a cold bath. This onsen is part of the Cebu Prince Hotels and Resort Group, so if you have the app for the chain downloaded and are part of the Cebu Prince Club, you can save around 200 to 100 yen on your visit. Weekday hours are noon to 9:30, with Saturdays and holidays and special day hours ranging from around 10:30 a.m. to 10 p.m. One of the reasons I chose our lodging for today was the multiple hiking trails that are nearby and available for your enjoyment. I have saved some of them in our show's Google Maps for today's episode. This is just a reminder to get your hiking socks and shoes or boots before you decide to head out, as well as a small first aid kit and battery pack for your phone, plus some snacks and water to ensure that you aren't caught off guard. I would also look into a hiking guide, honestly, just to make the most of your time and for you to be safe. This is not just like what I do around my house, where we kind of drive off for a little while and we do these trails that are just very nice and easy. I don't have to worry about our safety too much in regards to wildlife or just very steep trails. So just for you coming back safe and enjoying your time, book that guide. Another reason I recommend getting a guide is the prevalence of bears in the area. At our next stop, the Karuizawa Wild Bear Sanctuary, they even offer you a bear bell to wear as you hike, free of charge, just to help make some noise and things like that. So hopefully you're fine. Just be careful when visiting the Karuizawa Wild Bird Sanctuary, as the Google Maps location is incorrect. Check on their website, which I've included with today's show notes. You'll see precisely where you need to go in order to see 80 different species of birds, Japanese seros, which I've never heard of before, but are worth looking into to see what they look like, flying squirrels, and Asiatic bears that can be found in the area. One thing that they say besides the bear bell to avoid bears is to avoid early morning and nighttime for your hike, especially between April and November when they are most active. The bird sanctuary is one of Japan's 3 excellent wild bird habitats. It was designated as a bird sanctuary by Japan's Ministry of the Environment in 1974. Late November to early May is the best time to see birds, as it's much easier to spot them when there aren't all of those leaves on those trees. So you can still have a wonderful time outside of those times, though, as my daughter and I routinely use apps that allow you to pair like a bird noise with a picture of what the bird is. And even if we can't see them, we can see the picture, we know what we're listening to. And when we do spot them, it just makes them that much better. Hours again are from 9:30 a.m. to 5, with the busiest times being from 1 p.m. to 5. To continue our nature theme, I have bookmarked 2 waterfalls in the area. Both will require a car to get you to and have parking lots to utilize. That being said, it's best to know the busiest seasons when visiting, as those lots can be easily filled during the busiest times. Shirato Waterfall is a quite popular spot for waterfall viewing in the area and is open each day from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. The falls can be reached by bus or by taking a 25-minute ride from the Karuizawa station. If you're not going to use a car during your stay and use that bus, whatever it is that you have, it's going to be worth it no matter how you get there. 500 yen is going to be about the fee per person to help with upkeep. And whether or not you believe in power spots, I don't think you can leave what you're going to see there without being moved somehow. And in winter, when you would think, I don't know how much I'm going to get from a waterfall, they have all of these illumination events that are set up, which make the area look even more impressive than it already is. And honestly, to me, that would be hard to do. As always, if you're looking to do outdoor activities on your trip, it's good to have some fallback plans if the weather does not cooperate with you. One such place is the Tasaki Museum of Art. The artist chose this location to showcase his works while also being a location to be kind of a spot for cultural exchange for the area. The artists truly lived a full life, as they were born in 1898 and lived all the way up till 1984. He was considered a modern and contemporary painter, and although he may not be a household name worldwide, his work is definitely worth your time. Hours of admission vary depending on the time of year, with hours ranging normally between 10 a.m. and 5 p.m., except in fall when the hours become 10:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Admission to the museum is around 1,000 yen for adults, with discounts of half off if you can get 29 of your friends to join you on your trip. So after the Sezon Museum of Modern Art reopens in a few years after its remodel is complete, both the waterfalls and the museum are near our hotel and would be a great add-on for your stay, as they're just 11 minutes walk away. Yes, that is 2 art museums in a relatively small area, but again, so much offered at both. If you want to have a relaxing walk from our lodging without worrying about following trails or having hiking gear or bear bells, there are 2 different shrines nearby for your enjoyment. I have bookmarked both, but the one that caught my eye the most was the Shinto shrine that is to the west on the map. It's focused on water and even has a small pond and some excellent nature for you to enjoy. I could easily see myself visiting this water shrine and just having maybe a small picnic, reading, or just listening or recording those sounds that are around me. I usually don't recommend an activity outside the city that we're talking about, but I could not pass up at least mentioning a tremendous and unique experience that would be available to you if you can rent or drive to Karuizawa. I will make a future day trip just on Gunma alone, But the Onishidashi Volcanic Park in Joshinetsu Highlands National Park is just too good of an experience to pass up without mentioning. Not only is Mount Asama one of Japan's 100 most famous mountains, but this 2,550 meter active volcano offers more than just a great view with trails, trees, and even a waterfall. It is essential if you're looking to climb this active volcano, though, that you come prepared to do so. And I'm not just talking snacks and water, but some good hiking gear. As this is not a short hike, it can be very windy at the summit, and depending on the year, what time of the year it is, you can end up with negative temperatures. You can end up with eruption level warnings, volcanic gas, ice, snow. So just, I'm not going to fault you. If you go all the way out there and you look at it, you're like, man, that looks amazing, and you decide to turn back, come home, not a bad thing either. But if you're looking to do more than just enjoy the temple and the view and want to add on climbing it, again, reach out to a climbing guide to help ensure that you don't ruin your vacation with a stop at the hospital. With all of our discussions on what you can do, now's the perfect time to discuss 3 dining options in the area, starting with Sonmen Shokoru, which is open daily from 11:30 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. Not only can you try a menu based on local cuisine, but you can also experience great hospitality. The reason that I chose to share this restaurant, though, even though it is part of a hotel, is kind of twofold. One is they do not take reservations. And you're like, Mike, that may not be a good thing. Like, especially with you saying how busy Japan has been. But instead, what they do is they work off a take a number system, allowing you to walk around the town, check the status of your number or what number that they are on via their website. And 2, they're very foreigner friendly, as they're used to a lot of Chinese guests and tourists. So they even have directions in Chinese on how to prepare your food. Now you're like, Mike, that's not going to help me. Well, this is where that Google Translate comes in handy. So you can scan that direction that they give you and end up learning how to make a multi-course meal correctly, which will then give you confidence as you travel Japan some more. If you come across a similar meal, you're going to know what to do. And that experience is priceless. Even though the look of the restaurant is elegant, it is a casual dining establishment with an unobstructed view of the surrounding trees for a very affordable price. The single person hot pot, they have local beer, and soba are all just quite popular. You can take a number for your group 30 minutes before they open at 11:30, which can help your wait time, but be prepared as lunchtime is usually their busiest time. And pricing can average between 2,000 to 4,000 yen per person. With an identical meal, though, like if you're going to go to another 4-star restaurant elsewhere and get the same dish, it's going to be so many times more than what you're spending at this place. Next up is the Soba Noodle Shop, Kakagamani, and Sekirabashi branch. This shop is open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. each day, and those traveling with their dog can use the terrace of this establishment to enjoy their meal with their furry family member. Lunch is when I want to go, as you can get a fantastic soba set with 5 sides for around 2,350 yen, which is truly a fantastic deal, considering that this is a 5-star soba restaurant. Yes, my friends, 5-star. This set consists of homemade tofu, dashi soaked beans with pickles, sliced duck loin, seasonal vegetable tempura, marinated salmon in summer, marinated duck in winter, and a handmade buckwheat soba noodle dish that you can enjoy either hot or cold. This is not the only set that you can enjoy, though. as they have some fantastic customer service, providing heaters and blankets for those of you that are sitting outdoors when it is cooler. You can expect to spend, again, around 4,000 to 5,000 yen per person when you visit. And truly, I think it's going to be worth it for you just on the food alone. Today's third and final food recommendation is the Cowboy House Steakhouse. Although this may not seem like a place you'd think of to choose first when dining in Japan, let me promise you it is so worth your time. Regardless of how long you are away from home on your journey, the longer I find myself away, though, I look to find some things that are comforting, some meals that can remind me of home. And the meals here are worth so much more than just making me feel closer to home. Many visitors just recommend eating here and getting so much more value than what they would think. The dishes tasting so much better than what they thought. And it's just a repeated mention again and again and again. A lot of reviews mention starting with the Popeye salad, which is spinach topped with bits of bacon. Just make sure not to be completely, full when you go, as they have quite a variety of desserts. And if you're killing time ahead of time, don't, fill up at the coffee shop that is nearby. The desserts may tempt you, but wait for that reservation to pass. And if you still want something later, go do it. But just one of these common things that seems to be a common thing, at least in this area, is that, again, you can start making reservations, not the day before, not days before, but day of, 30 minutes prior to when they actually open. Now, here's a word to the wise. There are people already lined up more than 30 minutes before that time. So an hour before they open. And once they open, the reservations go super quickly. So if it was me, I would probably end up getting there at least an hour ahead of time. And if you're with friends, this can be made better while one of you is maybe enjoying coffee at that coffee shop I mentioned earlier. The other person's in line. You can kind of alternate back and forth, use the restroom, have some coffee, make that time pass. It's going to be great. Just know that when you make a reservation, if I made it for 3 people and 2 of us are ready, they will not sit you until everyone is present. So don't let your friends or family run too far off and end up missing your time and not being able to seat it, because not everyone is there when it is your time. One thing else to just be aware of is they do not accept credit or electronic payment options. Cash is still king here. One thing that it really stood out to me with this is that there's quite a range in pricing for the steak. I'd say, a lot of normal meals and things that are here might set you around 6,000 yen per person. If you're looking to have an appetizer, some sort of drink, and a steak, if you're not going completely all out on, the grade of steak that you're going for. But honestly, unless someone in your group is going to be going for the pasta or just, appetizers, things like that, I would probably kind of have 10,000 yen, that $100 per person. And whatever you don't spend, cool. But again, no credit. So you don't want to spend more than you have, So just look ahead, look at the menu, find out what you want, and just have the cash to pay for it. One thing that I try to do at times, and this is not just, something that I only talk about, the show only talks about, I try to go at lunch a lot of times to nicer places that are more expensive, because I know that they usually have a lunch menu and I can get these meals smaller sized for a smaller price, but they do not have a lunch menu. Even if you've gone previously and they had one, as they did in the past, they do not have it now. So, look online, take a picture of that menu, find out what you want, point to it once you're there and have that cash to pay when you're all done. Earlier in the episode, I mentioned that if you're going to go all out on your lodging, I would have a place that I recommended to you. And I do. It is Hoshinoya, Karuizawa. This, my friend, is a valley village resort. It's going to give you the feeling of kind of being in Venice, Italy. Modern rooms and resort that really do its best to blend into the natural surroundings and to fully appreciate what I'm talking about, because just words aren't going to do it justice. So follow those links in today's show notes, and I have a very strong feeling after you do that this is going to become a must on either your next visit or a future visit. The resort is next to the Yukawa River at the bottom of a valley between the Hoshino Hills and the Wild Bird Sanctuary. Now, the resorts have no TV, no clock, as they really want for you to connect with nature. It's meant to be a place where you can recharge, unplug from technology that kind of surrounds us daily. And you can enjoy a onsen. You can enjoy meals made completely out of vegetables from the area. You can dine with a special menu tailored to eating in your room. You can enjoy a 7-course meal and so much more. Now, rooms range in pricing, but start at around 25,000 yen a night per person. That may not put you right on the water and give you water access, but those prices fluctuate quite a bit depending on what time of year, going upwards easily of 50,000 yen or around that $500 mark. Booking is very straightforward, though. It does not require a VPN to tell them that you're in Japan. What you have available on the site can actually be translated to English as well, just by clicking on options on their site. Pricing for dinners and meals can vary, but my friends, just know it's going to be expensive. It's going to be a sizable portion of your stay. I would probably expect to spend on average around 5,000 yen per person for those meals. So at least kind of like around $50. But let me tell you, if you want to be at a 5-star resort with 5-star view, this is the location for you. That being said, after reading these reviews, this is, although they do offer options for families and things like that, not really one for those of you that have young families. If they do have offerings, things like that, like I saw reviews where people said they're with their kids and they're in a different room, and that room isn't necessarily as close as they would like. It's not an adjacent room. Again, this is places for people to go to unplug, to not be part of things. And I think anyone could benefit of that regardless of age, but just something to keep in mind if you're looking to book this. This might be something better for you and your partner, or just you to get away. One last thing I'd like to just say is that if you're going to be staying in a valley in Japan, or just any place where cell reception might be spotty, I would totally recommend downloading an app that allows you to download the translation software to your phone so you have access to it, regardless of having cell signal or not. And if you do that, that can help you during your time to help make the most of your time, your stay, just for your whole time that's there. If you end up driving, you will end up checking in, and after you check in, you're not able to just head directly to where you're at. You'll actually have someone drive you to where your rooms and things like that are. It's a minor inconvenience, just something I wanted to make you aware of so you're not caught off guard when you're there. The Karuizawa area has even more than what we've already discussed to do on your stay today. I've included Hoshino Resort webpage that will provide you with experiences that we've not talked about fully Uh, in our episode today, there are some hot springs we've not talked about, waterside cafes, confectionery shops. There's more soba, more Chinese food, bakery, and a shop where you can actually make your own personal rings. And that's really just the tip of the iceberg of what you can do here in Karuizawa during your stay. In addition, you can find some other coffee shops and even a locally sourced ice cream store. This speaks to what the area of Karuizawa has to offer and offer anybody who wants to enjoy their time in Japan. You don't need to go outside this area for anything for your stay to make the most of the time. If you're going to do so and you want to take advantage of the ice rink that is winter, kind of look at this site previously so you can have an idea of where these different things are or what to put into Google for yourself. And if your Japanese level is suitable, there are even bird watching tours that you can book through this site to make the most of that time in the bird sanctuary. From there, we're going to head back to our lodging and look into some of the shopping options you have to explore before we call this to an end, this day 2 that we've come to. Thank you so much for your time. In 2 more weeks, you'll be hearing another episode. And then 6 weeks, basically from today when this episode comes out, we're going to have our next day trip episode. Again, we'll have some interviews going on. We're going to have a good time episode and then a day trip talk with a special guest that's going to focus in on Kyoto before, like I said, potentially us heading back out to Gunma or even just a quick talk about Hiroshima as well. Housekeeping, please follow, like, and comment on your favorite streaming service. It really helps get the show out there to others. For updates on the show, feel free to follow on Instagram at Lost Without Japan. And if you have enjoyed today's shows, well, any of my shows for that matter, feel free to support the show by joining the show's Patreon. Again, there's an option just to join for free, just to follow. And I do make things that are free available to you just by being a member of that, like these show notes that I'm talking about today. But they also have some paid options as well. Just things that are available on that that haven't been made available, like the concert that I went to, with Adarashi Gakko, that's still there. I put episodes that I've recorded on there early. And it's just a great way to help support the show and help me get some more audio equipment and then be able to provide everyone even more while I'm there. Not everyone can travel to Japan, and I'd like to give everyone the chance to, even if you can't go, be able to sit, have some headphones on, and be immersed in it anyways. I want to take a last moment that I can. This last time you're going to hear this, before we get closer to recording our 3-year celebration later this summer. If you have been putting off or thinking about reaching out to the show to join our 3-year event, I'm going to be sending out stickers to anyone that participates and leaves kind of their information through either being emailed to me or that Google document that is in our show notes. I'm just requesting for you to share what you've liked about the show, maybe a favorite episode, favorite memory, or just things you have enjoyed about Japan. What's your favorite trip? What are your favorite memories? Share those. I'd love to share it with others and just celebrate 3 years of every other week with you. So just again, follow the Google Doc link that I have in our show notes. You can attach an audio file to that if you want to have your voice on the air, or again, if you just want to type it out, Maurice, David, one of us will read it for you, and just going to have some fun when it comes to that time. Thank you so much. I can't wait to read or hear what you choose to share with the show. For our song of the show today, I will go out with Forget It by Yorushka, which has been stuck on repeat for me as of late. On behalf of Lost Without Japan and the entire crew, I'd like to thank you for joining us on this trip. We look forward to seeing you on board again in 2 weeks for our next episode. To everyone out there, o ginki day. Stay well, my friends.